Cool. So to start off, it's been a while.
This has been our longest break for sure.
Yeah, I think we should check in with everyone and let them kind of know where we're at and why we're doing this on Zoom.
Yeah. You gotta go ahead
Yeah.
and fill them in if you want to. Oh, and by the way,
So
this is going to be episode 9.
okay, episode
And
9.
yes.
Um, so before we start our episode, I moved to LA like 3 weeks ago now. I moved during the week that we were supposed to record, so that week didn't work out. And then every weekend since then, I've just been like moving stuff. I was sick one weekend. It wasn't COVID. I got tested. So it's just been hectic and crazy. And I'm also learning a new job, and I'm working probably like 10 to 20 hours a week more. And I'm not even in Fresno working. So like to try and like coordinate has been insane.
Yeah.
But I'm finally slowing down a little bit. JJ's leaving for a season in a few days.
Mhm.
Which honestly, he's not even one of the reasons why I usually can't record, but it just makes my life easier
Yeah.
now, like on the weekends in terms of like, I don't have as many things to do.
Yeah.
That sounds so rude. I just said it makes my life easier for him to
Well,
leave.
I think if he hears that, he knows what you mean. He doesn't mean
That's
like
not what
that
I mean. Yeah,
makes your
he
life hard.
understands. Yeah, no, it's more so of like I have so much going on every single weekend because I'm jam packing everything into 2 days of being off.
Yeah.
And like now that everything's slowing down and he's leaving, it's like I literally have free weekends almost every weekend after Easter. So we'll be able to record more often, and hopefully now that we're going to be mostly virtual, we'll be able to have more guests too.
Yeah, it'd be easier for sure.
Yeah, so
And I mean, I'll just float it on. We didn't even talk about discussing it at all, but want to mention what you're drinking real fast before I go
oh
into.
yeah. I'm drinking Tioga's new Low Dome. I know I was actually talking to Matt the other day. He manages at Tioga. If you guys ever go in there and see him, tell him what's up. But he was saying that they haven't even really started marketing
Promoted.
this yet.
Yeah.
And it's been like flying out. And I have to say, like, I like Half Dome. I actually like this one better.
Well,
It's
it's
a
blood
lot
orange.
lighter.
It's not the peach or the stone fruit.
Yeah. It's like that more, it's just like a lighter citrus.
I,
And altogether, it's a great beer.
I still have yet to try it, so I mean, I don't know. I actually saw it today at the store when I was buying what I'm drinking. I went all out and did michelada.
Nice. We love a good michelada.
And I make the best. No, I was gonna tell you, maybe like once we get everything rolling again, we can do like one episode a month or every so often, like in person, like whether it's like you visiting back or if I'm in LA or whatever it is.
Yeah,
'Cause I
my
think that's
parents
all
are currently in the process of selling their house too, so pretty soon we won't have a place to record in Fresno unless we go to their place.
Yeah.
So yeah, but my where I'm at in LA is just like a quick 3-hour drive, so it's a
Just
pretty
quick
easy
3-hour drive.
like it's easy to do for like a weekend, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And it gives me an excuse to go to LA if I had to. So.
Yeah, come watch Dodgers game.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. So, how are you doing? I know, like you just went through, like your life's been pretty hectic.
Yeah, our mental
Lately.
health check. Where are we at? I've been like overall, like in terms of like working and my job, I've been great. Like I'm finally doing like work that like I really care about, and it's been really fun. But also like at the same time, and I was just talking to JJ about this the other day, but I told him like honestly, like I'm exhausted. Like
Yeah.
not even from work or from like those things. I'm exhausted from like everything that's been going on in like the news and the media, and like having to explain to people constantly like why things are wrong or like why things are racist or why things are bad. And I'm just like telling him like I'm on my wit's end. Like I try to do these things in a way where I'm being an ally to those communities, because it's like it's not my place to be screaming and yelling at people, because it's like how does that message get through, especially when it's not my trauma and like my I guess burden. But I needed a break.
Yeah.
I needed a little break And I know that like it's not for me to have a break because like people go through this every day and they don't get one. But if I'm being completely honest, like
Everyone
I
deserves
feel
one, though. I mean,
like
but
I'm fucking tired. Like that's where I'm at.
no, I feel you completely. I mean, 100%. Like, I feel that same way. Like, when it comes to me, I am exhausted from work too. Like, don't get me wrong. Like this pandemic has really like screwed us over at work now. I think we're like 6 guys down. One of the other guys that doesn't have COVID, but his dad did. He passed away. And
Yeah.
so, everyone's dealing with that. We've lost multiple customers now from it. Like, so we're just getting hit in every direction over there. And then obviously mentally, like just seeing what goes on day to day and and I know Twitter isn't like, everyone in the world, but you begin to think it is sometimes. And when you do
Yeah.
that, like, you're just like, fuck, dude, everyone's so either like selfish or stupid or just so self-centered and doesn't care about anything. Like you'll see like 10 good comments about something and then one like stupid comment and you're just like, man, fuck the whole world at this point. Like, there's
I've
no
been
hope for
like,
us.
I feel like I've been pretty off social media a lot lately just because like I just need a break from that mostly just like I got tired of like intaking other people's posts and just
Yeah.
like their shit kind of like I just didn't feel like it. And also like I have this really bad habit of like clicking on a tweet about something that's like, you know, something terrible happened and I click on it and I go through and I read the comments.
I stopped completely.
I should not be doing that. It's like
Like,
it's literally the worst habit because the worst people live in the comments
yeah,
and you're just like anger scrolling and you're like,
that's
oh, like I want
like,
to reply, but I know that these people are just trolls and like they want people to reply and like they don't actually care and
yeah. No,
yeah.
yeah. Twitter isn't like, I mean, Twitter's bad, but I don't have Facebook. Or I mean, I do, but I haven't went on it in like 4 years probably. But Maddie has Facebook, and her thing is always like, "Oh, we go to the comments." I'm like, "Why would you do that? Like, don't go,
Oh,
like,
Facebook's
especially there. Like, don't
I
go
have not been
there."
on Facebook.
Um,
Um
yeah,
no, but
but
yeah, I do have an update because our last episode was our pop culture episode,
mhm.
right?
Oh yeah, it was like right after that we filmed it.
So, out for all the people who are on a cliffhanger, what happened with Matt James on The Bachelor? And you don't want to watch because I don't blame you, but he ended up choosing the girl who had all those pictures of her at the antebellum party, unknowing that those pictures were out there, unknowing about her past, unknowing of any of that. And so after recording Wrapped and all of that surfaced and they were together, he ended up breaking up with her. And they always record an episode called After the Final Rose, which happens after recording and like a few weeks after they've been, you know, together, but like
Yeah,
secretly. And it was sad. Like it was just sad because you could tell that he was exhausted and he was broken and he was tired and you could tell that he loved her, but that like he had to, he basically said like I couldn't stay with her because like those pictures were taken 3 years ago and like you can't do enough work in 3 years to undo that.
yeah,
Um, to marry a black man and then start a family with a black man. Like
yeah.
it
Especially not when you're
doesn't
that
work that
old
way.
already. If it's like you're like 14 and then like 17, maybe
Yeah,
you can have some
yeah. And then
growth, but
too,
like not when
like
you're in a grown adult.
yeah, and then too, he was like, also like she didn't know that that stuff was wrong until she got called out for it. So it's not like she's been doing the work for the past 3 years.
Yeah,
She just started doing the work 2 months ago.
yeah,
And he's like, I'm a black man in society. Like that's not my burden to bear. And like I can't be with someone and like love someone and want to have kids and a family with someone who's gonna have, you know, mixed children with me because she's not gonna understand any of us and like our struggles and the way that we have to walk through this world.
hmm
But it was just sad. It was really sad. And a lot of people have been like sending him a bunch of hate on social media
Isn't
because
that ironic? Like, or isn't that like counter? Like, it's like the whole reason is because of like the hate that's like going into that. Like, it's like I don't want to have to deal with that and burden that and bring that upon my kids and stuff. And then all of a sudden,
yeah.
like now he's still getting the hate.
Yeah, and like they have this one Instagram, I think it's called like Bachelor Data or like something like that, and they do data reports of like every episode of like people's screen time like based on like demographics and things like that. And at the end of every season, they do like a final follower count of like who gained the most followers. And she actually was the one that gained the most followers from the season.
It's crazy how that works. Like, I feel like there's a lot
Yeah,
of
and
like,
I'm not. Yeah, it's insane, and I'm not saying that like she's not genuinely trying to change, and she's not genuinely trying to do the work. Like, she does seem like she's very remorseful, and like she does understand like the weight behind it, and like she's only come out since all of it happened, like defending Rachel Lindsay, like defending Matt, defending everybody, basically saying like, please stop defending me. Like, I don't want your remorse and your sympathy. Like, I don't deserve it. Like, I don't understand why you guys are directing this at me and like directing hate towards them. Like, they didn't do anything wrong. But it's insane, and it was sad, and I think it's just like another reminder of like how prevalent racism in America is, and like people making comments like, oh, Chris Harrison shouldn't have been canceled, and like he should have just sucked it up and been with her. Like, that's what love is. It's just like, no. No.
that's horrible. Yeah, no,
It's
it's
not.
not. It's like, oh man, this girl that I love, but also like a couple years ago, she hated the fact that I existed. But
Yeah, but I thought that was something to touch on, because I'm sure a lot of people that watch our podcast like don't watch the show. So in
yeah,
case anyone was wondering like how that ended, it ended on a
Poor
really
play.
sad note.
yeah.
For everybody.
Yeah, that sucks, man. I didn't. I should have followed up. Like, all I followed up was like the aftermath of like the dude that what's the dude that stepped away and everything.
Chris Harrison.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I just
Yeah.
followed up that much, and after that was
Oh,
like,
and it just came out that Chris Harrison hired lawyers.
nice. So cool. Like he's gonna
So we're
try to
pretty
go.
like everybody's assuming like, okay, so he's gonna sue like
Mhm.
the like producers and or whoever, I guess, is the ones that told him you can't host
Yeah,
anymore. So
that's cool.
he's obviously not that remorseful
Oh no, of course not. What the
if he's
heck?
about to start litigation against them, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very
So
interesting pop culture. Actually, that kind of segues into our next topic pretty well.
which one are you going for? I don't.
Media representation and media, women's representation, and kind of going into like the hate crimes that happened in Atlanta.
Before we go into that, because it kind of goes from pop culture stuff. I'm just looking it up really fast. Have you followed the Teen Vogue thing at all?
Mm-mm.
Let me find. Okay, so Teen Vogue, they were gonna have a new editor in chief, and her name was Alexi McCammond. Either way, so she's 27. She was gonna be a really young editor in chief, and then it actually goes into the Asian hate crime stories too, because she did have some problematic like anti-Asian, like maybe like not I wouldn't call it like anti-gay, but like maybe you could perceive it as anti-gay tweets and stuff from 10 years ago when she was 17.
Okay.
They knew about the tweets before they hired her, but then people brought it up after she got hired. They were going to go along with her still, and like it was like when you think about it, you're like, okay, she's 17. That was 10 years ago. She's been a huge figure now in media and journalism and whatnot. And she clearly has shown that she's not that kind of person that tweets like that or does anything like that. And she already apologized for those tweets years ago. Like it wasn't like this is brand new. It's been brought up before. She apologized about it and life went on. So yeah, but then just the other day she decided that she's going to be stepping down from her role before she even started, basically. And then it also after that comes out that one of the people that were so against her being on that position had like tweets from the past where they're using the N-word and stuff. So it's like, this is like, I feel like this is like such a horrible like idea, like where you should go to like I feel like the cancel culture route sometimes can be like such a wrong way, because eventually it's going to get everybody like the way it goes. Like
and
no one should be held accountable for what they did when they were like 17, when they're 27 now, or when they were. I mean, 17. That's pretty young. Like, to think about it, like that's pretty young to be held accountable for what you said. I think when you're 17, unless it's like really really bad, but I don't know. But I just thought that was a funny story, the way it worked. Like, oh, we're going to get this girl canceled from some anti-Asian tweets. And then it was in light, obviously, of what's happened recently, that it's more brought up. But then also the people that were saying like we're gonna get her canceled are also now using we're using the N-word. So it's like,
yeah,
and
I
they
think
weren't black.
something similar actually just happened in like the whole Bachelor Nation world, because there's a girl who was on The Bachelor. Her name's Taylor Nolan, and she's like really known for her like anti-racism work, her sex positivity work, just like all the good things that you would want to see from a person. Like she's very vocal on that, but she's also very vocal on like demanding apologies immediately and like demanding, you know, vocal apologies, not just a black screen and words on a Instagram page. And you know, she's one of the more like, I would say, I don't want to use hardcore, but I guess like just like more, you know, I guess hardcore people when it comes to like that type of stuff. And I'm the type of person where like I do believe that people can change, and I feel like by, especially if you're not the person being oppressed or like going through that trauma, like you can't really, it's more productive to like give grace and like call people in instead of calling people out.
Yeah.
And like giving them the chance to like have that moment to change. And while Taylor is mixed race, so she is half black, and so she does like suffer from those traumas and that oppression, and she has gone through that as a black woman in America. Tweets surfaced from like 7 years ago, I think, of like just absolutely like terrible things. Like, and it wasn't just, I think she had said some stuff about, you know, black women, but she also said stuff about like disabled people. She said stuff about like literally every group.
Wow.
She tweeted stuff, and apparently at the time, I don't think that people keep saying she was licensed, but I'm guessing that she was going through her master's program and was probably doing like internships and was working with patients. And I guess she, like, some of her tweets were about her patients too, which is like
That's
totally
pretty
against,
severe, yeah.
against HIPAA. And so people are calling for her license to be taken away. And
well, is that against HIPAA if she's not naming them?
You're not supposed to share any information about your patients.
Like, what if like you're like teaching a class and you're like, I had a patient that had.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that like,
them.
I think what it is it's like, it wasn't in a way of like trying to be a teacher. It was like, I'm making fun of my patients for their mental illness.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
She even like said stuff against like sexual assault survivors, like making jokes. It's just like, it's just terrible things that like, you're just like, how did you say those things? And like, you're the person that you are today. Which something that people keep saying is like, we don't want to denounce her work that she's done, because she's done a lot of great work and she's had a lot of amazing conversations and like brought up a lot of amazing issues. But at the same time, like, I think the difference between this story and the one you're talking about with Teen Vogue is like, she's never gone out of her way to say like, yeah, at one point in my life, like I was extremely ignorant, like I said terrible things, like they're probably still out there, like I had to do a lot of work to unlearn those things, and I am so sorry. And like a lot of people said like, why didn't you delete the tweets? Like, why keep them out there to like hurt people, you know? And that's something where I think it's different, because you said this girl's already apologized. She's already gone like, I know they exist and I'm so sorry that I said that, and like I'm not that person anymore. But the thing is, Taylor has never brought them up, and now they're being surfaced, and she ended up doing everything that she calls people out for. She made a reactionary video where she wasn't really taking accountability for it, and then she just posted a screen with words on it, and then she waited a few days, and then she posted a video where she like actually had like, she's like, I wanted to like think about this and say the right things. And I think it's a good indicator of being like, I think that when people fuck up, like we can allow them to take in the backlash that they're getting and like take a moment to go, let me think about this, because I don't want to just react and hurt people even more, because it's really easy to be defensive and angry. I want to sit here and I want to say the right thing, and I want it to come from my heart, not from like my anger. And I think that's kind of like where a lot of the time people don't give other people that, like they don't give them the chance to be like, you know what, like let me take in everything that everyone's saying to me. Let me really think about it, and then let me respond. And I think that that's the adult way of doing things, you know.
Especially now, yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
But it's just
it
an
is
interesting concept, you know.
it's pretty crazy though to be like, you need to apologize for this. I demand accountability for this right now. I need you to be like this, but without ever acknowledging your past or anything like that. Like, at least like when you're calling
Yeah,
someone out, say that you've grown since who you were. Like when you do that, like that's
yeah.
what you want for everyone else to do. But obviously, but then it's because I mean, from what it sounds like she's almost like an opportunist, where she's like, oh, I have an opportunity to like get my like life going higher while destroying someone else's when they did the same thing you did, but even probably at a less scale of what she did.
I
It
think
sounds
that
like.
honestly, I think that what it is I think that sometimes like we do the work and we learn all of these things. And especially, I mean, like I said, she's a Black woman. So
Yeah.
I'm sure she's angry and she's frustrated, you know, with society and white people. And I think that maybe she was letting a lot of that kind of like block her judgment on how she was reacting to a lot of these situations. And like, I'm not saying that it's not right, because again, I'm not Black. So like,
Yeah.
I can't sit here and say that like she shouldn't have done that. Like, she has every right to be upset and mad and call people out, because again, like that's her trauma and her oppression. But at the same time, it's like, I think her now going through that and like being called out and like needing that time to like say the right thing, like I think now she can probably go, okay, like when I'm angry at someone else for fucking up or like doing something terrible, like I'm not going to immediately be like, you need to apologize right now.
Yeah.
Sometimes like it's just not worth that, and you don't want just like a reactionary like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
Like you
because it's
want
not
to
gonna be
like
a genuine
admit it.
response, anyways. Yeah, it's not gonna be genuine if you're just reacting to like being called out right then and that. But yeah, but no, that is
Yeah,
a man pop culture.
it's a complicated thing, and it's kind of
Yeah,
crazy, and like that's kind of why, like that's kind of how I was leading into the tragedy in
and
Atlanta.
yeah, let's cheers real fast to America being back to normal. Mass shootings again. Yeah, back
Terrible
because
thing.
did you see
Terrible
Colorado
thing.
already? Colorado today?
Yeah, I mean, okay, we'll get there.
We'll
Let's
get there,
start.
but
Let's
let's
start
start
with
with
the
Atlanta.
big. Um, that's just fucking sad. Like I was just sad when I saw that. I was just like, wow. And then for them to again, like I wasn't surprised the way that the police officer, what was he, a sheriff,
Yeah,
was talking about the shooter, you know, he's having a bad day.
dude.
Um, and then saying it's not a hate crime because
Well,
he said that it was sexually motivated.
isn't that okay? Let's pretend like it's not. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say race wasn't involved. It was, but let's say it wasn't. Um, you go and you see an Asian massage parlor, and you instantly associate that with sex work. So now that's still a hate crime against women and sex workers. Like regardless, like it's still a hate
Mm-hmm.
crime. But then also, if you're also associating Asian women with sexual, like, or if you're sexualizing Asian women to those massage parlors, and it's like, or sex work with the massage parlors, and they happen to be Asian, I think that's also pretty much a race-related hate crime, like no matter what,
Well,
regardless.
the thing
But
is
then
that
also
people,
too, Georgia, like it's full of strip clubs. How many strip clubs do you pass by before you'd probably, or Atlanta especially,
mm-hmm.
before you get like that would be like, I'm not saying he should have shut up strip clubs because that's not what I'm saying at all. But
No, I think it
it's
was
like,
more so if he was trying to say it was like a sexual frustration, you know, like it was like a fantasy and a frustration at the same time. And I think even if he genuinely believes that it was motivated by a sex addiction that he has, and the violence was motivated by frustration that he has towards Asian women because he sexualizes them and fantasizes about them, like we have to understand that. And this is where I go back to media representations of women.
yeah.
We have to understand that like society plays a really large role in how we see women of different races and how they're hypersexualized. And
Hmm.
to be completely honest, like white women aren't.
Yeah.
And we can see that like through the history of film, TV, magazines, news, everything. You know, you pick it apart and you realize like Latino women are, you know, spicy, mean, crazy, sexy, hot. Usually that like slutty character.
Mhm.
And then Black women are usually angry, aggressive, intimidating, but still sex workers, which is nothing wrong with that, but portrayed in a negative light,
Yeah.
or portrayed as, you know, a drug addict or whatever. And then Asian women are either portrayed as dragon ladies who are unattainable for sex, or hypersexualized, you know, Asian women.
Yeah.
And none of those stereotypes have positive effects for women in society, for those women of color. And we have to understand that. And this is actually something that I studied pretty heavily in college. And there's this one quote from an article that I was reading. It's an academic journal, so it's been peer reviewed, and it has like all these sources, but it basically says, much of what audiences know and care about is based on the images, symbols, and narratives in radio, television, film, music, and other media. How individuals construct their social identities, how they come to understand what it means to be male, female, Black, white, Asian, Latino, Native American, even rural or urban, is shaped by commodified text produced by media and audiences that are increasingly segmented by the social constructions of race and gender. Media, in short, are central to what ultimately come to represent our social realities. So that is from Gender, Race, and Media Representation by Dwight E. Brooks and Lisa P. Herbert. I think like that shows like it's not just how we view certain races of women, it's also how we as women of color internalize certain stereotypes and are held to certain standards. And it's usually the white women in media who are shown as the virgin, as the damsel in distress, as the girl next door, as the one that got away, as the one that you want to marry. And women of color ultimately are usually the women who are trying to take your man from you, or are portrayed as something darker. And it's just frustrating to sit there and hear them say it's not racially motivated because, you know, he had a sex addiction and blah, 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 but that sex addiction is rooted in media representations and stereotypes of Asian women. Therefore, it is a racial crime and is racially motivated. And that's like, it's deeper and it's intricate, and like people don't want to understand that and like have to go through like making all those connections, and that's what makes it so fucking frustrating.
Well, because it's easier to be like, no, it wasn't, than to be like, fuck, another white guy did a hate crime. Like it's easier to just be like, no, it was a sex addiction. See, totally different, totally not a race-related crime. You guys need to stop making everything about race.
Well, and then it's too, it's that they then, by like agreeing and being like, oh, well, he had a sex addiction, like you're taking the blame away from him. And a lot of people
mental illness or something
are placing it onto the women.
Oh, yeah, because
like, well, you know, they're
what were they wearing?
They're objects of sex, and he has a sex addiction, and I mean,
that, and then like, it's just, I mean, he had a bad day, Kelsey. What can you say? Like,
you know, I have a lot of bad days. A lot. Like, a lot. I have never physically harmed anyone because of those bad days.
You're right.
Ever. Yeah. Have I yelled at someone because I boiled over the top? Sure.
You're a spicy Latina?
Because apparently. But I
Kelsey,
mean, it's just insane.
But do you know the burdens of being a cis white man in America? You haven't had a bad day, like, hard. Dude, you don't know. Like, you don't understand. And then did you hear about the sheriff too, by the way? I don't know if you saw the
didn't he like make merchandise about the and that's the other thing is like,
so it's like, you're telling me this guy is the one that should be commenting on anything about this? It's like, you're clearly have a bias against Asian people too, so
no. And like, that's the other thing is like, a lot of people want to try and say that like the Trump administration has no hand in these hate crimes, because it's not just this one. Like, Asian people have been seeing I think it's like a 300% of hate crimes in the last year due to the
next day I saw the video of the Asian woman in San Francisco. I heard San Francisco in general is just being filled right now with people going against like hate crimes. I'm not saying it's all white people, but it's still people.
Yeah. And like, we can't genuinely sit back and say that like media doesn't matter, because it's the media representation that's put people in a place where they were scared to eat at Chinese restaurants.
Yeah.
Like,
Or to
like they
even
were gonna
fucking buy
get it.
Corona. Remember when Corona was going down? Like they wouldn't even buy Corona beer because
It's
of
just
media
dumb.
representation. It's like that. But yeah, they wouldn't even eat at Chinese restaurants because they feared like I remember like people, because we get a lot of import from China, like in my business, like we get a lot of like containers. People were
A lot of people do.
scared. Yeah, right. People were scared to even open the things. I'm like, guys, that's not how that works. But let's chill. Like,
Yeah, it's a lot of ignorance, and like,
it is, yeah.
and that's kind of what I mean, like, because I get the question a lot from like family and loved ones about family and loved ones who don't seem to like grasp these things. And I've tried to like explain these things, but I get the question a lot like, well, why don't you just teach them? And it's like, you know what? Because they're grown ass conscious adults who also have Google. And
Yeah, right.
if they really wanted to learn about these things and they really wanted to change their perspective,
They
they
already.
absolutely could by doing a few simple Google searches and spending literally 30 minutes to an hour of just reading like peer reviews academic journals. Like that's all you have to do to like look into the data and the statistics and go, huh, you know, like that's it. And you don't even need a subscription to anything. You just can go on Google.
I feel like you could obviously go that route with learning about it in a smart, statistically based way, or you could just also
movies.
you could just be a compassionate person and realize that other experiences of others are real things, and it's not just the world around you. Like there's more to just your
absolutely.
world.
I think what it is though is that like for instance, like a lot of people who have struggled themselves and like, you know, they get older and they come from an era where we weren't as, you know, we weren't talking about these things as much, and these things weren't in mainstream media, and you know, things were tolerated a lot more in terms of hate speech and things like that. Not saying it's okay, but they get to a point in their life where like they endured so much that they don't. And it's always, this is always weird to me, but it's always like, well, I had to suffer, so like the next people have to suffer. And like, I don't believe in privilege because like, look at all the things I went through.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
why would you want someone to go through that? Why wouldn't you want
like, why does everybody have to suffer? Like why not?
I had polio, you have to have it too. Don't get that vaccine.
It's like, why not just make the American life easier so we can enjoy more time with our family and friends and like actually live a life instead of spending, you know, half of our life at work. Yeah. And then two, it's like people don't believe in privilege because they've struggled. And it's like, that's not how that works though. Like, it's not to say that because you have privilege means that you can't struggle or you don't have obstacles. It just means that you don't have certain things will be the things that you never have to worry about that people of color do on a daily basis, you know, or you won't have certain obstacles that people of color will on a daily basis. And especially, you know, Black people and, you know, Indigenous people. Like it's just, it's a completely different world that they live in. And to ignore that is ignorance. And it's a blatant ignorance. Like you're choosing
not to look at it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just, that's why it's exhausting, because you're just is. I've been talking about this for months and years now, and I'm not perfect, you know.
I'm not.
To go back to like, if you met me when I was, you know, 14 through 18, I absolutely had no clue of being politically correct or anything about politics or anything about social movements. I didn't know any of that. I mean, I think that at my core, I've always been a good person, but I think that you can comb through my social media and find
something that was not good,
offensive, and I'm not perfect, and I like recognize that, and I recognize that like I have done the work, and I'm glad that I have. Like I'm glad that like I've opened myself up to what this world really is, and like the work that needs to be done.
It's funny too, because I feel like I'm the same way. Like trust me, like. If you come through my social media, eventually you're gonna find something like, "Hey, that doesn't seem right." It's gonna happen. Yeah. But it's gotten to the point where like I'm not saying I'm politically correct, because I don't think like being politically correct is always the thing to be, but I definitely think that like, you know, I'm super compassionate, and I will never say anything that wants to, I'm not trying to hurt people.
I'm
And
more
like,
conscious.
I'm more conscious, yeah. But
Mhm.
like, it's to the point where like, I feel like our friends probably are done. Like, I don't even want to talk about that with Kelsey and Justin, because I feel like they might get like either offended, or like they might be like
Mhm.
too like real with us or something. Maybe like, well, like, do you guys hear yourselves right now? Like,
Yeah. Well, and I think too that like having those conversations can be uncomfortable. And like for me, like I don't mind being uncomfortable. Like I
yeah,
don't mind someone calling me out for saying something fucking stupid. And I still do it sometimes, you know, like I'm not perfect. There's times where I revert back to just stupid things, and something slips, and I
yeah,
either immediately catch it and I go, "Oh my god, I don't know why I just said that," or
yeah,
someone else will look at me and go, "What?" and I go,
yeah,
"I am so sorry. I don't know." Like, and it's never anything terrible, but you know, there's just like little
yeah.
things sometimes where it's just like maybe not standing in complete solidarity with women all the time because we're so trained to compete with each other and to hate each
Hmm.
other and to fight over men and things like that. And I catch myself sometimes buying into that still. And then I go, that's so fucking stupid. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not going to do that. Like, that's not
yeah. I know
worth
what
my
you mean.
time.
Yeah.
Like, no, like, absolutely not. So it's hard. It's like, it's constant work,
Oh,
but
for sure. I
it's
mean,
worth
like, and
it.
I mean, I feel like it becomes like you said, it's slip ups. Like, you can have slip ups every once in a while. I feel like, but like you catch yourself or whatever, or like maybe you think a thought before you say it, and you're like, wait, why did that? Like, no, that's not right. Never mind. But
Mhm.
like, it's like at some point though, it does become like second nature, like where you're not really thinking about it. Like, I don't think about constantly. Like, I'm never like, I shouldn't say the N word right now. Like,
Yeah, I don't say it.
like I'm
Uh-uh.
not like, oh, don't say that. Like, I don't know if you saw
Mm-hmm.
like the thing about the different Papa Johns where he's like, I've been
Oh
doing
yeah, he's
30
like,
months of solid work to erase this word from the vocabulary. It's like, whoa, how heavy did you use that word to where like oh
I
it's
know yeah, it's insane, and like we could talk about that subject for forever, but it's just
but
sad, and I think we can both say that like we stand in solidarity with um Asian American and Pacific
but
Islanders.
don't post yellow squares. I don't know if you
No,
saw that.
I didn't know that was I'm glad I didn't see any on my timeline.
I think people shut it down pretty fast.
Yeah.
Like
No,
it
I
was
think
it
what
was
you can do instead is you can either share
share
information
messages.
that you
Yeah.
find, you can donate if you have the money.
Always call
Um,
out. Like
yeah, you can call out your friends for saying something fucking stupid and ignorant and offensive.
yeah.
You can protect Asian people in your community and just make sure that they're doing okay. Just check on your friends.
I saw Fresno
Um,
Street Eats did they shared their favorite Asian food trucks. It was pretty cool.
yeah,
So I mean, if you're
support Asian businesses. Things like that. It doesn't
yeah,
take a lot, but you can
it
show
really
your
doesn't.
solidarity in those ways.
Yeah, just do your best to not hate people. Like that's the like don't like. There's
Be a good
very few
person.
people. Yeah, there's very few people that deserve hate in this world, and like reserve that hate for people that actually deserve it. Like
Yeah, for
don't
sure.
use it on people that you don't know or you just that are different than you a little bit. But yeah,
Yeah, and
Colorado. Let's. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, yeah, we can go into that. I haven't
There's not
really looked into it
there's
too
not
much
much
because
details yet.
yeah,
I
it kind of the story broke while I was at work,
yeah,
and
same.
that's
And
again just like another just sad,
I
sad thing.
saw that they arrested the dude, and of course, like you expect any mass shooting suspect to be arrested, he gets arrested very nicely and helped onto a stretcher and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So he gets all that treatment, and then of course, also again, a cop was killed again. So that's awesome the way that happens, and somehow the suspect doesn't get shot or anything else happens. Like, I mean, it's pretty crazy. You can go into an active shooting situation and get the person, but God forbid a black person get pulled over by the cops. Um,
it's sad though either way. Like
it's
for all the people
it's,
who lost their
of
lives
course it was
and
10
the
people, by the way.
families of those people, and it's just fucking terrible all
So
around.
today, so today's was 10 different people. 10 people died today, which is like, so that's cool. Or what? So we had how many in? So it was 8 people in
I think it
Atlanta.
was eight
Now
or
10 in
nine.
Yeah, and then now 10 in Georgia. So almost 20 people lost. I mean, Georgia, sorry, Colorado. So now 10 in Colorado. And that's like, okay, almost 20 people lost in the matter of a week. Like America is
Yeah.
back in business. Like
I
that was the norm.
know.
Like we were used to a mass shooting a week, basically. Like everything was breaking news. I remember me and my manager would always be like, oh dude, look at this, look at this, look at this. Like
Mm-hmm.
and now it's like it's getting back to that situation again. And we're opening it up to like the joke really was like, oh my god, schools are out. At least there's gonna be no more school shootings. And it's like it was a joke, but at the same time, it was true.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm curious. I'm sure it's as usual going to be bullshit, but I'm curious to hear this guy's reasoning as to why.
Bad day, for sure.
Just another bad day.
Just had a bad day. He
Bad
sold
day in
prices at the spring.
terrible Colorado. Colorado's
Yeah,
just the ugliest place in the world.
yeah. Colorado's horrible. Like,
Terrible
yeah,
situation.
and honestly, I heard that he hated supermarkets. So like, it wasn't like a race thing or anything like that. He just hated supermarkets. That's probably horrible. I'm sorry.
He hates when people bag his groceries for him.
Exactly.
He's pissed.
God, no, yeah, exactly.
No,
No, it's hard. It's like
let's not make light of this.
well, that's the thing though. That's the only thing you can do in this situation. Like we're so used to like one of the
It's a
comments I
coping
saw.
mechanism.
Yeah, it is. One of the comments I saw was a guy saying that like he was like 51 or something like that. He got out from jumping off the dock, basically like he jumped off the back of the grocery store, and he said all the young people were helping out the older people off the loading dock and stuff to get them out. And he said that I think all of us kind of figured that one day we'd be in the situation. And it's like very cool thing to think about in America. Like, you know, you always think like, no, we're probably gonna be in a mass shooting one day. How would I react in that situation?
You know what's insane is that for the past like month now, like once a week, I've been having the same type of dream. It's not the same dream, but the same type of dream. I'm in a retail space. I think one time I was like in Walmart, and then the other time I was in a mall, in a Apple store, as if I was still working there. And each dream, there's like an active shooter, and like we're trying to find our way out to like not get killed. And it's something I think about constantly. Like I'm genuinely like, we don't know in America. Like you really don't know if you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
At all. Like, I mean, I never was conscious of it before, but like I do notice myself. Like I haven't been in, like inside of a restaurant in a really long time, but I remember myself kind of looking at like doors and stuff. Like, okay, like that's a door. That's a door. Like at a shop center. Oh, look, that's like, and maybe I wouldn't even notice it. Like why I'm looking at it, but I'm like, oh, look, there's an emergency exit right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
or
well,
even for a while going to a movie theater, you're just like,
mm-hmm.
How am I gonna get out of here or something?
I'm like, fuck, I wanted the middle seat. Why did I want the middle seat?
Yeah, and that's sad. Like that's sad that that's something we have to actively like think about.
It's really crazy. But like even the other night, like I was me and Maddie went to dinner, and we like, you know, we were at Yard House, and we did they had the tents,
mm-hmm.
and we were on one, and like we were the one like closest to the wall of the tent, and like the wind kind of hit it, and like it puffed out a little bit. And I just thought about it. I was like, man, dude, if like, what would we do if right now someone decided to either come in and just shoot this whole tent up, or if like someone wanted to drive into it, like, and like it's like, why do I think like that? Like, why are we thinking like that now? Is it because it happens so often here that we're like, you should think about it?
Yeah. Oh, and then that's another thing locally in Fresno. That guy, I think 3 people died. What was that last night? 2 nights ago?
Oh yeah,
he was like running from the cops, or he like was.
It was right next to my house.
It's sad.
Yeah, I actually was leaving my brother's house. I saw my brother that night. I was leaving, and I was getting off the freeway, and I couldn't get onto the road because I was like, what the hell happened? Because it was all covered by cops, and I got home, and I looked at it, and it said like there was a huge ass fiery crash.
And people are trying to say that it wasn't his fault.
I mean, of course it's his fault, like, no doubt. I mean,
he was running from the cops and wouldn't pull over, and then ran into someone else's car, which immediately caught on fire.
Yes, and like that's 100% his fault. Like, there's no like way to like take that away from that. The only thing you could say is like, you know, police shouldn't be chasing people. At that point, it's like you have to stop. Like, you have to be like, okay, this is getting too fast. This is causing too much. But it's like he was probably speeding regardless.
I don't think that he was even probably going that. They probably just went to pull him over because he was speeding.
Yeah.
And then when they turned their lights on, he like sped faster.
I think they said that they were following him up until he hit 90, and then they stopped.
Yeah, because I
Which
don't
I'm
think
like,
that like a lot of the time they don't engage in high speed.
well, because it's just dangerous. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
The same way we're not supposed to shoot outside of our police car anymore. Like
Well,
it's
and
like
then
those
like
things.
what was it like was it 2 or 3 weeks ago? The same type of thing happened where like a guy got the lights lit up on Blackstone, and then he like cut through the neighborhoods and then hit someone on like what Bullard or something and killed.
I didn't hear about that one, but it doesn't surprise me.
It just happened like a few weeks ago, and that's kind of why people are like, okay, like all of you car people that hang out on Blackstone, like, do any of you want to donate to the families and tell your friends to
Right.
slow the fuck down? And if you're getting pulled over, just fucking stop
Yeah,
instead of
like,
speeding away and possibly killing people.
and like on top of that, like, bro, this isn't fucking Fast and the Furious. Like, you're not gonna get away. Like, regardless, like, you're gonna get caught. Like, even if it happens that moment, or if it happens 2 days from now, like, you're gonna get caught.
Street cameras that can catch your license plate almost anywhere. Like,
Or,
come on.
like either that or like the cop already saw your license plate. Like it's not like they're not looking. They usually have two people in the car the whole time. Like they know exactly where you are. Like
It's just dumb.
There's like I never thought like high speed chases made sense to me unless it was like I'm gonna go out in a blaze of glory kind of thing. Like that's the only time it makes sense. But like it doesn't make sense. But I'm saying that's the only time you can like be like, oh, okay, that makes sense compared to I'm gonna try to get away, because you don't get away. This isn't fucking 1955. Like. You get caught and you go to jail, and you go to jail for a lot longer.
Technology's too advanced for all of that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of local things, the last thing we wanted to touch on is, which we haven't yet, which I don't know why we haven't. This will be the first time we're talking about it, but our local.
We mentioned it once, I think.
Did we?
I think so. I think on the last one.
No. Our local Tower Theater is in the process of being bought by a church.
It's pretty much done now, right? The judge.
But I think they're still. The judge basically said Sequoia isn't within their right to like buy it, or like he denied their right to buy it. But I think
he denied their right to like halt. Yeah.
Yeah, they're still fighting it. But basically, the church that bought the theater,
Adventure Church.
The theater A is in LGBTQ plus, conscious and loving community. It's a place to go for people to feel like they can be themselves, no matter how they identify or in any capacity. In any capacity, like anyone could go to Tower and be accepted, unless you're a hateful person, and that's where they draw the line. And so this church has caused a lot of chaos for the community. They are not LGBTQ plus accepting. They have recently had the Proud Boys out there supporting them.
Wait, no. I mean, you got to tell, like, you're telling me the Proud Boys were outside of that church? That makes no sense to me. Like, what do you mean? The Proud Boys are so prideful. Like, they would never.
It's just.
If the Proud Boys are coming to your defense, you're probably in the wrong. Just saying.
Yeah, it's like you want to try and be in a community, and then you want to try and justify being in that community, and then you have the Proud Boys out here defending you. And it's like, this is literally the antithesis of what Tower is.
I'm just thinking about it, like how mad the Proud Boys were probably going in front of that church and like looking over their shoulder and just seeing Fab right there. They're probably like, oh. Like that's probably like their first time in Tower anyways, and they're like, what the hell's going on here? Like.
Yeah, and then I don't know if the church themselves had put it up there, but like what's his name? That one.
Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah, when he died, they like put R.I.P.
Rush
Limbaugh, and apparently it wasn't the church themselves that put it up there, but still like allowing it to stay up on the marquee.
It was the church. It was the church. Like they can lie all they want. It was them.
No, it was a witness that said they saw someone else put it up.
Yeah, the fucking pastor of the church. I'm just kidding.
Either way, whoever did it, it's a piece of shit. But they allowed it to stay up. It's not like they like took it down and was like, oh no. Like they were like, oh yeah.
This is, and like the thing that sucks though is like this is just a power trip too for the church. Like, why do you want to be in Tower so bad? Like why? Like why the fuck do you want to be in Tower? Go down the street.
The main pastor has had some really questionable sermons. I don't even know if that's the right word. Sermons when he like
serpents.
Anyways, there's a video of him that I saw one of my friends shared because I guess they used to be involved with that church and they like cut off all communication and they went somewhere else. But he's like talking about in the video when you go to the gym and how like women need to stop wearing tight pants and tight
Oh
shirts
yeah, I think I saw
because
this. Yeah.
you're testing a man's restraint and like I'm like that is so creepy. And that is not a man of God. I'm sorry, it's not. Like you're like, oh God, I can't do it. I can't keep my hands to myself. I know God wants me to, but I can't. Like you're a pastor and you're telling people this and you're placing the blame on women and you want to be in tower? Like I'm scared for the people in your church. Like I'm scared for the type of shit that you say to them and do to them if you feel comfortable being on stage saying that to everybody.
Oh yeah, no, it's that's totally believable that that's something that didn't said too. I've seen plenty of sermons or serpents, whatever they're called. Um, like I've seen one where they're talking about women that like like I don't know if you saw the one where it's like not everyone can be Melania Trump and like women let themselves go after marriage and like you should always be your best for your husband. It's just like disgusting ass misogynistic shit and. Yeah, so it doesn't surprise me at all if that's the thing, but it's like my thing is just like what Tower is, like what Tower is. Why? Like why do you want to be there? It's not, and it's not like you're openly like we love LGBTQ plus communities. Like it's not like they're openly like that. They're more like they've said super anti-gay, anti-trans things, and so it's like why do you want to be in an area that's the main demographic? Is not the main demographic, but pretty close to the main. Like they're the most supported there. Like anywhere you go in Fresno or Clovis, like that's the most supportive place for LGBTQ plus community. So it's like, why would you want to be there? Like it's just like and this is exactly why we need to fucking tax churches because they have too much money to be like, no, we're gonna go to Tower now and ruin this community. like they should not have that much money to be able to just go to Tower whenever they want.
Yeah, well, if you guys want to support, I will post like some links and stuff I know that there's a fund right now for like the legal funds and I will find it eventually and then we'll post it in the bio of this episode. And that way you guys, if you want to donate or if you want to share the link or whatever, you can go ahead and do that. But I think that this was a pretty well-rounded episode.
It was, yeah. I'm not minding the Zoom format. I like it's not bad. It doesn't especially on, like it looks good right now. So
yeah. You want to rate your drink?
I'm gonna say 10 out of 10 because I made it myself.
Honestly, like of all, because like I don't really do like citrusy like wheat beers anymore. They're too sweet for me and they like leave a taste in my mouth that I don't like. But this one doesn't do that. It's so easy to drink. It's so light. I love it. This is 10 out of 10. Go to Tioga and go buy it. They also have one that's amazing called Bernie's Mittens.
What?
Yeah.
How do they not know about this?
It's like a vanilla amber lager. Maybe, and I know, Matt, if you're watching this, let me know if you approve, but maybe we can record our next one at Tioga and in the room that we recorded our
election video.
Yeah, our election video at, and then we can drink the Bernie's Mittens. And we'd love to have Matt on the podcast if he wants to come on, but yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it's Bernie's Mittens.
I have to, sorry. Shout out
it's
to my
actually
girlfriend.
An amazing beer too. It's super, super good. So maybe the next one we record to kick off the season will be at Tioga, our favorite brewery, and we can drink that to start off.
Yeah, it's perfect. I like it. Do you want to talk about giving stuff away, or are we just gonna do that on the post?
Yeah, we have exciting news for everybody. So if you're one of, I think now we have like a consistent 40 people watching us, which is awesome. Thank you so much. If you're one of those people, we are going to be doing our first giveaway. We're still working out the details, but we're definitely going to be putting in 2 6-packs or like a 6-pack and a crowler, probably from Tioga. so you guys can try some of the beers that we've had on the show. We're also going to throw in a few koozies. Probably they'll be like branded from some of our favorite breweries, and some stickers, and maybe a few other things that will be little surprises. But it's going to be a pretty cool giveaway. It will be for locals only, and to be able to drop it off to you guys. Eventually we'll get more sophisticated and be able to do bigger giveaways, and get to, send them out places. I'm sure at some point you can like mail beer, but I just don't know.
I think that's more of like maybe if you're like a brewery or something, because I know Tioga does offer anywhere in California shipping.
Well, I know that like you can ship wine because there's a place in Pismo that is able to ship wine, like a post office.
I was gonna say, worst comes to worst, it's like we'll place an order at Tioga for you and deliver it, like have it delivered to you, or we'll just throw in a Bevmo gift card or a 21 and more gift card. Like,
but yeah, so we'll put in information on our Instagram on how to enter in that. But just so you guys know, we are going to be doing that in the meantime on this next little break. This break won't be as long. It'll only be like probably 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was supposed to be longer, but we had enough of a break, I think.
Yeah, we accidentally took a way longer break on this last episode, so this one will be pretty quick, and then we'll get our stuff together. We'll line up a few guests and record a few episodes and start dropping these a lot sooner.
Yeah, I'm down. Sounds good to me.
But yeah, thanks for watching. Let us know
Episode
how you feel about this new layout and
format. Yeah, I like it. I don't mind it. I mean, I just hope my Wi-Fi sticks up good, because I noticed that towards the end it started getting a little sketchy.
Yeah, and I mean, again, kind of like when we first started doing this, we were like, hey, give us some, like a couple breaks because we just started. Well, now we're just starting the Zoom format, so give us a few breaks here too so we can kind of figure out how to do it. I probably shouldn't say this. I'm literally doing this on my work computer.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, because mine's dead, so. But it's okay because I'm on Wi-Fi, so it's not like I'm.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like you downloaded anything really, so it's whatever.
Yeah. And I'm using my personal Zoom account, so.
There you go. Perfect.
But yeah, so thanks so much for watching. Thanks for sticking with us for an entire season. I know that we're kind of we suck at being planned and organized, but we're gonna get way better at that next season. Especially now because we don't have the excuse of like, oh, I can't do it in person because I'm doing A, B, or C. It's like we can literally, as long as we're at home, we can hop on the computer. So it'll be a lot easier this way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right, cool. So see you guys. Thank you.
Cheers.
Later. Cheers. Oh. All right. See ya.
See ya.